Hello YouTube, this is eGaming Television bringing you guys another Season 6 patch 5.24 guide. In this guide we're going to be doing Rengar. Specifically we're going to be showing jungle gameplay, although he is also a very good top laner. Although this is jungle gameplay, we will talk about some summoners you can take or different items you can take if you are a top laner, since it is a complete guide for Rengar. In this guide, we're going to talk about Rengar's pros and cons, his masteries, runes, summoners, abilities, his ability leveling order, his item build, and a few Rengar tips as well. As I said before, we're going to be showing jungler gameplay at the master level. Please drop a like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys have a champion you would like to see next, please also leave that in the comments. On that note, let's hop right into the pros and cons of Rengar, starting with his pros, the first being he has high burst. As Rengar, you can basically late game sit in bushes, pop out, and 2-shot AD carries if you're ahead. Because of Rengar's stealth engage, you are able to go for a very damage intensive build, as you don't have to worry about getting too tanky. Rengar's abilities are also free to cast, which is very nice. The only thing you have to worry about is the cooldown. Not having to worry about having enough energy or mana for abilities is something I consider a huge benefit. Rengar can also snowball really hard and carry games. He's not one of the typical tanky engage type of junglers. He is one where if you get the farm and the kills, you can carry the game very easily. He's also really good at 1v1ing most enemy junglers, as well as having very fast clear on jungle camps, which makes him a very good counter jungler. Rengar is also a champion you can pick early in the draft because people may assume that you're top lane and then try to counterpick you, which allows your top laner to then counterpick their top lane. Although top lane and jungle Rengar are considered tier 1 picks, there are still some cons however, the first being he is squishy. Like I said, you go for a very damage intensive build, but you do have the stealth to make sure you can engage and delete targets. Rengar is also somewhat weaker without brush and his ferocity. A big part of why Rengar is a strong pick is the ability to jump out of bushes and instantly get on top of targets. One last con is that Rengar is very hard to master. He does have a lot of different abilities, and with ferocity you get empowered abilities as well, which do not share the cooldown of the normal abilities, so knowing when you can use abilities in their sequence is a big part of learning Rengar. Also, knowing which empowered ability in each situation you should use is something that will take some time as Rengar. Next, we're going to look at Rengar's Masteries, which are 12 Ferocity and 18 Cunning. In Ferocity, you get 4% attack speed, followed by deal 3% additional damage and take 1.5% additional damage. Then you get 2% lifesteal and spell vamp, and finally you deal 2.5% increased damage to targets with impaired movement. This works really good with Rengar, considering you do have a bola for slow/snare. We then move into the Cunning tree, getting 3% movement out of combat, which is great for ganking. We then deal 1.5% increased damage when no allied champions are near. Now this is the new Assassin talent that has come out with 5.24, and it is great for Assassin type of champions like Rengar. We then deal 5% more damage to champions below 40% HP, followed by champion kills and assists restore 5% HP, then followed by 5 plus 0.5 per level armor pen and 3 plus 0.3 per level magic pen, and finally, third attack or spell on an enemy calls down a lightning strike dealing magic damage. Next we look at Rengar's runes, which are 9 greater marks of attack damage, 9 greater glyphs of magic resist, 9 greater seals of armor, and 3 greater quintessences of attack speed. We take these because it makes you a little tankier while also giving you as much damage as possible for killing the jungle. One alternative to this is getting some cooldown reduction, however we make sure we get the 40% in the build we're going for anyways, so this is not required in our runes. Next we look at the summoners for Rengar, which are Flash and Smite, and of course if you are a top lane Rengar you will want to take either Teleport or Ignite, whether you want to get the Ignite for kill potential or the Teleport for moving around the map. We take Flash because it's used for chasing, escaping, and repositioning. It can also be used in combination with your Unseen Predator, which is your passive to close a huge gap on an enemy as long as you can get into a bush. Smite is a must-have as a jungler, as it makes your jungle clears faster and is good to finish off Dragon and Bearing. Smiting large monsters also grants unique effects. Next we're going to look into Rengar's abilities, starting with his passives, and by passives I do mean he does have technically 3 in a way, and the first main one is Unseen Predator. While in a brush or in stealth, Rengar gains bonus attack range and his basic attacks cause him to dash to his target. This bonus lasts for 0.5 seconds upon exiting brush or stealth. Unseen Predator occurs regardless of whether or not his target has sight of him. Now, this is one of the best passives in the game in my opinion, as it makes getting to squishy targets a lot easier in team fights as long as they're near brushes. However, it can also be used in your stealth as well, which is your ultimate, to jump to the backline as well. Now, another one of Rengar's passives is his ferocity. Rengar generates 1 ferocity whenever he damages an enemy with an ability. Upon reaching 5 ferocity, his next basic ability is empowered. Can be cast independently of its basics version cooldown, incurs no cooldown of its own, and consumes all of his ferocity. Instead of talking about each of the empowers now, we're just going to do that on each of the ability pages, so we're going to leave that here for now and move on. Rengar's last passive, which used to technically be an item, is his Bone Tooth Necklace. Rengar gains a trophy whenever he scores a champion takedown and gains bonuses based on how many trophies he has. So when you have 3 trophies, you get Hunter's Domain, which gives you 25 bonus movement speed while out of combat or in a brush. So this is amazing for a jungler, as obviously you can move around the map quicker and get more ganks. So when you have 6 trophies, your Unseen Predator's range is increased by 125. Now, Unseen Predator's range is already strong as it is, so adding 125 on top of it is really strong. Next, at 12 trophies, Thrill of the Hunt's duration is increased by 5 seconds, and this is your ultimate, so you have 5 more seconds of stealth to get into a better position if needed. This is also pretty strong. Lastly, at 20 trophies, Thrill of the Hunt's bonus movement speed while stealth is doubled. Now you can see a pattern here. Basically, Rengar, with all of these, he's able to get where he wants when he wants. This makes him incredibly scary for all of the enemy squishy champions. Now that we finally have all of his passives covered, we're going to look at his Q, which is called Savagery, and is his main skill. So when activated, Rengar's next basic attack within 3 seconds deals bonus physical damage between 30 and 150, plus between 0 and 20% AD. So empowered Savagery, and this is when you have 5 ferocity. Savagery's bonus physical damage is increased to between 30 and 240 based on your level, plus 50% AD, and applying it grants Rengar 50 to 102% based on level, bonus attack speed, and 10% bonus attack damage for 5 seconds. Now, as you can imagine, this is Rengar's main use of ferocity, as it increases your DPS by a ton. You also have to keep in mind that Savagery does reset Rengar's auto attack timer, so do not try to overlap them. Rengar's next ability is his W, which is called Battle Roar. Rengar lets out a battle roar, dealing magical damage to nearby enemies and gaining bonus armor and magical resistance for 4 seconds, increased by 50% for each effective champion or large monster. As for the empowered version, Battle Roar's base magic damage is modified to 40 to 250 based on level, and using it heals Rengar for 12 to 80 based on level, increased by 6.25% per 1% of his missing health, up to a maximum of 75 to 500 based on level healing. You do have to keep in mind that Battle Roar and Empowered Battle Roar's bonus resistances do not stack with each other. Now, this could be either your second or third in priority depending on what you're looking for. This skill gives more healing and armor and magic resistance, obviously, the higher it goes. However, the Bola Shot, which is your E, does more damage, so people will max either one depending on what they're looking for. Next is Rengar's E, which is called Bola Strike. When activated, Rengar throws a bola in the target direction, dealing physical damage to the first enemy hit and slowing them for an amount that decays over 2.5 seconds. In the empowered version, Bola Strike base physical damage is increased to 50 to 340 based on level, and using it roots its target for 1.75 seconds. Now, this skill is a lot better for ganking than your W. However, you do not get the bonus armor and magic resist that you would get if you maxed your W first. So choosing which one is up to you. Now we're finally going to look at Rengar's last skill, which is called Thrill of the Hunt, and is his ultimate. So when activated, Rengar activates his predatory instincts, gaining stealth after 1 second of not taking damage, or 3 seconds, and true sight of all nearby enemy champions for 7 or 12 seconds, or until Rengar damages an enemy with one of his abilities or basic attacks. While stealth, Rengar gains 15% or 30% bonus movement speed while moving towards an enemy champion. Enemies are made aware of Rengar's presence if he is nearby. Upon exiting stealth, Rengar gains bonus movement speed and generates 5 ferocity over the next 5 seconds. So not only do you get the movement speed and stealth to get in a better position, but you also get 5 ferocity over 5 seconds to increase your damage as well. Now that we've covered each of his abilities, we're going to talk about the ability leveling order. In this ability leveling order, we've taken the better ganking path. So we start by taking Thrill of the Hunt whenever you can, meaning level 6, 11, and 16. We follow this up by taking Savagery, which is your Q. You take this at level 1, and it is your main leveling priority. So you take it at 1, 4, 5, 7, and 9. Next, we take Bullish Strike, which is your E. You take this at level 3, and it is your second in per leveling priority. So you take it at 3, 8, 10, 12, and 13. Finally is Battle Roar. You take this at level 2, and it is your last in leveling priority. So you take it at 2, 14, 15, 17, and 18. If you are playing top lane Rengar and you feel like you need the sustain, I would swap Battle Roar and Bullish Strike to get the increased sustain. Now we're going to look at the items for Rengar, and please note that you do need to try to get 40% cooldown reduction, as because of how Ferocity works, the more abilities you're able to use, the more ferocity you're able to generate, and therefore the more empowered abilities you are able to get off, which is why we need to go for 40% CDR. So to get 40% CDR and a ton of attack damage as Rengar, we start by getting a Hunter's Machete plus some health pots. We then get a Stalker Blade, which is enchanted with Warrior, followed by Usumo's Ghost Blade, then Ionian Boots of Lucidity, Ravenous Hydra, Essence Reaver, and an Infinity Edge. This gives 40% CDR as well as a shitload of attack damage. If you are a top lane Rengar, you can get something like Eternity Force, which has 10% CDR as well, to get rid of the Stalker Blade, which you would obviously not need as a top laner. You can also get a Titanic Hydra if you want to be a tankier Rengar over the Ravenous Hydra. There's a lot of cool things you can do as Rengar, and it takes a long time to learn them all. One thing is something called the Perfect One Shot. By doing this, you get 5 Ferocity stacks. You then use your Thrill of the Hunt. You activate your Sumo's Ghost Blade. You activate your Empowered Savagery before you leap as well. You then leap to the target. Mid-leap, you use your Bullish Strike, then your Tiamat and Battle Roar near the landing, and you automatically hit the target when you land, and they instantly die. You can also use triple Qs. Doing this is a lot of damage instantly, and it can be a one-shot as well. You get 5 Ferocity stacks. You then use your ultimate. You activate your Empowered Savagery before you leap. You leap, use your Bullish Strike in the leap, then Tiamat when you land, use your Battle Roar and auto Q, you auto Q again, and then you instantly kill a target as well. You can of course do this with other skills as well, like your E if you want to chain CC a target forever. Learning how to do these consistently will take you a long time, however when you do, everybody is going to hate you. I'd like to thank you guys for watching this guide. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. We'll have many more guides coming out. If you do have a champion you would like to see a guide on, please leave that in the comments and I'll make sure to do that.